Hey everyone, our reading today comes from Philippians chapter 3 verses 10 and 11. I want to know Christ, yes, to know the power of his resurrection and participation in his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, and so somehow attaining to the resurrection from the dead. The first thing that really stands out to me when I read that is Paul's affirmation that the point of his life and the point of the life of the Christian is to know Christ. I want to know Christ. But here's the thing. There's a difference, isn't there, between knowing and knowing. Right? I know Cristiano Ronaldo. I know that he's from Madeira, a little island in Portugal. I know that he plays for Juventus. I know that his mum's name is Dolores. I know that his father died of alcoholism when he was really young. I know that he was named after Jesus Christ and Ronald Reagan. I know all of these things about Ronaldo, but unfortunately, I don't know him personally. Ronaldo, if you're watching this, get in touch. Let's strike up a friendship. But my point is that Paul isn't talking about that kind of knowing. Paul's talking about a deep, intimate, real-life experiential knowledge of Jesus Christ. He wants more of that, right? And we know this because listen to how he describes this wanting to know Christ. Yes, to know the power of his resurrection, to know the participation of his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, and so somehow attaining to the resurrection from the dead. Paul wants to know Jesus Christ deeply and intimately, and he's saying this is what his life is about. I want to know Christ. When he says, I want to know the power of his resurrection, he's talking about the power that comes from God that now lives in us. And that only comes through Jesus Christ. He's saying, I want to know God's power in my life day by day. And when he says, I want to know the participation in his sufferings, that's talking about being so united to Christ in an intimate way that we become conformed to Jesus Christ as suffering comes our way, right? Like it did for Jesus. And so Paul is describing a desire to know Christ in a more and more intimate way. And so when we consider life through these lenses, you think about some of the things that Paul has said just before. If life is about knowing Jesus Christ, then we go, oh, okay, so you're from the tribe of Benjamin. Okay, cool. Oh, you're circumcised on the 8th day, are you? Sweet as. Cool. Oh, you're a Pharisee. Oh, okay, sweet, cool, whatever. Or you might think, oh yeah, but I've got a car and I'm Brad Pitt and I'm a rocket scientist. Well, it doesn't impress Shania and it really shouldn't impress us because that's not what life is about. Life isn't about all those things or all those other things that we can brag about, but life is, I want to know Christ. It's all about knowing Jesus. And this is what happens. If our life is totally about, I want to know Jesus, then we seek Jesus. And the more we seek him, the more we see him for who he is, which is the exalted Savior of the universe. And the more we see him as that exalted, grand Savior of the universe, here's what happens. We cannot help but share him in praise. We can't help but share Jesus Christ in our praise of him. You see, C.S. Lewis kind of put it like this. He said, our enjoyment of something isn't complete until we share it. And I know that you know that this is true, because if you're like me, you've done this many times. You'll be scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or something, and you come across a hilarious meme. What's the first thing you do? Just keep scrolling? No, the first thing you do is you tag your mates, right? Why do we do that? It's because our enjoyment of something isn't complete until we share it. For some reason, we're compelled, oh, this is hilarious meme, I need to share it with my mates, right? In the same way, our enjoyment of Jesus Christ, when we see him for this glorious Savior that he is, that enjoyment just seems incomplete until we share it with other people. And so what I'm saying is, I wonder the impact of the advancement of the gospel in New Zealand if every single Christian, or just at least every single person watching this, if we resolved in our hearts that our life is going to be about, I want to know Jesus Christ. I want to know Christ, yes, to know the power of his resurrection and participation in his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, and looking forward to attaining that resurrection from the dead. You know, I think a really important thing for us to do is to have a heart check and go, hey, what am I really living for? Am I trying to get rich or die trying? Or is the purpose of my life, I want to know Christ?